7:14 on a beautiful September 24th. Okay, everybody, let's get to our computers and log into MountainHomeChiro.com. We can follow along with Dr. Charles Osgood. It's always good to have Doc here. Yeah.
Hey, it's always fun to be here. We love talking about chiropractic and what it can do to help folks, and love to see the change that comes over people when we start working on them in the office, and they see that, I get folks that come in that have lived with something for years.
Yep.
I mean, even younger people, even younger people who come in and have had something since they were 12 years old and they're in their 20s now. And it's just cool to see how you can change a person's life just by providing a good alignment of the spine, because it gives you new hope and gives you new perspective, because the pain goes away, you start functioning like you should. And
there's nothing more depressing than pain.
Yeah. It's hard to live with that day in and day out.
Is according to pain value, And
having to pop pills for it and all that stuff, and just messing up your stomach and messing up your liver. And why do that? If there's something that can be done naturally, and most of the time there is, when you're just living with things like lower back pain or sciatica, where that pain comes down the back of the leg, it's typically tied to pinched nerves, and those pinched nerves come from spinal dysfunction. And that's what we do as chiropractors, is we improve the function of the spine by removing what we call subluxations. You can look that word up on the website.
Yeah.
And when we remove those subluxations of the spine, the spine moves like it should. You have the free range of motion that you should have, and then you have the nerve function that you should have, which takes away the pain.
Can I read this line right here? This is cool.
Go ahead.
This is on the website now at MountainHomeChiro.com. What are subluxations? A subluxation is a result of spinal bones with improper motion or position affecting nerve communication between your brain and body.
That's it. It's like pressure on a nerve. And it doesn't have to be an actual pinched nerve. The spinal dysfunction can be the bone stopped moving like it should, created inflammation around the nerve, and that inflammation around the nerve is creating the dysfunction of the nerve and creating the muscle spasms. So as soon as you start getting that joint area moving again, each segment of the spine is a joint. Each time you get each of those moving again, you remove the dysfunction.
Have you ever been like carrying a box or bag up a flight of steps and you think you've got one more step to go?
Oh, yeah. Bam.
Have you felt that
jarring?
That jarring of the back. What does that do? Doesn't it kind of collapse everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like riding a horse.
Yeah.
You think about that?
Yeah.
The constant up and down jamming of the vertebrae. You're basically jamming your vertebrae together. Every time you do that, you're pushing down on those vertebrae. And, it's just like, have you ever jammed a finger catching a ball or something like that? Yeah. Yeah. And you've it's the same thing. You hit that joint, you jam it together. Well,
that's Gaudier Molina from 2 days ago.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then you can do the same thing with the spine. That constant bouncing, or like you said, that sudden jarring, bam, jams everything together. And if you have a disc that's not in real good shape, it'll bulge a little bit, and that bulge will push on the nerve, and you'll get nerve pressure, and you'll feel it, coming down the legs sometimes, all that kind of stuff.
Hypothetical situation. It's now fall. They know what that means. It's going to be leaves.
Raking those
leaves. And hauling and mowing, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say that I've scooped a load of gravel on my wheelbarrow and I'm going around the side of the house. Arms are extended. I've got, say, 30, 40 pounds of pressure on the handlebars of the wheelbarrow, and I step in a hole.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how's that going to throw you out of...
your pelvis gets thrown out of alignment, and there's joints called the sacroiliac joints, which the pelvis and it hooks to the spine, and that is what allows you to do the bending motion.
Huh.
When those joints lock up, you find that you can't bend like you're supposed to be able to. You get stuck. And then it can start traveling down one leg or both legs, and you get the sciatica pain from that. So the biggest thing that we see in the office with fall is the twisting motion.
Yeah.
When you're raking those leaves and you're pulling and twisting like that is something that is really tough on the lower back. It's
well,
tough.
then you add to that, once you get the pile of leaves raked up, you pick them up to put them in the bag or
bending
the
over,
yeah,
all the time. And so there's my morning
rivet, the frog that won't hop.
It's the allergies this time of year, you know.
Oh yeah,
really tough. So, but what happens is with all that bending, twisting, pulling, is you're putting pressure on the discs of the lower back, and they can twist a little bit, they can bulge a little bit, they can just get inflamed, especially if you have any degeneration or decay of those discs.
Yeah.
And you can look up degeneration or decay of the discs on the website too. There's a spinal degeneration on there and things like that. But all of that, when you put it under pressure and you're doing those motions of twisting and pulling, tends to lock those joints up a little bit, and then it'll lock the sacroiliac joints up, and then you can't bend. I get folks who come in and they just can't even bend over because they're so locked up. And so then it's, like I said, it starts traveling down the leg, one leg or both legs, and you start getting what's known as sciatica. That's sciatica. When it starts traveling, the pain comes down the back of the leg, and it becomes pretty unbearable sometimes. So it's all fixable, though. That's the thing. Well, that's why people come in the office, is because they come in, typically they start coming in because they have pain, they have an issue, and they continue to come in after we fix the issue to maintain it, to keep a healthy spine after that. And what we find is that people who continue with chiropractic care after they're fixed on a maintenance basis, actually, they feel a whole lot better.
Yeah.
And they're healthier. Folks, actually, every time you're adjusted, your immune system is boosted by 50%. So, I get adjusted about once a week. I don't have all my patients do that. Some patients will do that. Some patients do every 2 weeks. Some patients do once a month. It just depends on the individual. But the more you're adjusted on a regular basis, the more your immune system functions better. I don't tend to get the colds and the flus and
I don't either.
All those things that a lot of folks who don't stay well adjusted get. So, you know, it's one of those things. It's just another thing that you can do once you're feeling better to keep feeling better on a regular basis.
You know, and I want to encourage folks. I'm 57 years old, middle-aged. What's that commercial say? A lot of life ahead, a lot of plans, all that stuff. You know.
Right.
Don't live it in pain.
Don't just live with something.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. And anything that is coming from your spine, you can feel it in your spine. It's spinal related, and it's usually something we can fix. You know, and like I said, if you're not sure that you have something we can fix, the email link is on the website too. Send Doc an email, and it will send me an email. Comes directly to my email inbox, and you can ask me any question you want. What can you help? Can you help with this? I've got this going on. Can you help with this? I get those all the time, and I love getting those because I can sit down and just talk one-on-one with the person that way, and there's no commitments or anything. And if you don't want to do anything, you don't have to.
The way we're adjusted, even it affects how we walk.
Oh yeah, your gait, the way that you put your foot down, the way that you wear on your shoes. It's all affected by actually spinal alignment, pelvic alignment, and all those things. I do find that a lot of folks, once they get everything aligned in the lower back, especially, they'll have a different gait. They'll walk differently. They'll walk straighter. They'll do a lot of those things. So, yeah, it's everything is affected by the spine.
Feet and ankles, knees, hips.
All of those can be adjusted too. So, I mean, you can have dysfunction in any joint of the body. So we do get a lot of knee folks who come in and hip issues. So you can adjust the knees, you can adjust the hips. Just getting those to what we call gap those joints by pulling them apart with the adjusting will help to pull fluid through that joint. Yeah. The joint needs fluid in order for it to be nourished. It has a little bit of fluid in there. And so the more it gaps that joint and pulls that fluid apart, it sucks more fluid in, pushes more fluid out. It's kind of like nourishes the joint every time you're adjusted too. And it does that with the spinal joints as well. As every time you're adjusted there, it's like nourishing that joint as well. So keeps it in good shape.
It's going to be a busy fall.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of activities. Obviously, a lot of raking those leaves. So be careful when you're raking those leaves, and try to watch how much twisting you do. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to do a lot of twisting when you're raking. If you can just pull straight, that's the best thing to do. Don't pull while you're twisting, because that's really, really tough on the lower back. And that's probably one of the biggest things we start seeing in the office is those people who have been raking the leaves. So,
and of course, it's football season.
And exactly, we get some athletes who come in from. There's a lot of damage that's done by getting hit. When it comes to being knocked down in football. So, and you don't really think about it. You get up, you shake it off. But there's some of those times those hits can leave a lasting effect. And I get some folks who come in the office. There's a few athletes who come in the office and just get tuned up, especially before a game and sometimes after a game, to get the bones working properly and get everything functioning like it's supposed to. And it really does improve your game. I see this. I see this with golfers too.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
A lot of golfers who come in, it helps to improve their game when they go and play golf. Now, is it going to, add to your score? Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, it's definitely going to improve the function that you have on that golf swing. And athletes, if you actually, you can Google this anytime to look up, professional sports athletes and chiropractic. It works well together, hand in hand. There's a lot of professional sports athletes who use chiropractors.
I was thinking about you last Saturday night. I was at the county fair.
Oh, yeah.
And for the first time, they had lawn tractor races.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
It was so much fun.
That would have been cool.
It was so much fun. I mean,
talk about bouncing around on those things.
After you roll it, I forget who was sitting nearby. One guy took a turn wrong and rolled that lawnmower.
Ooh.
I thought, my chiropractor would love me.
Yeah. Go hand him a card, huh? Well, I tell you, there's those kind of activities. You don't even think about it when you're doing it. But then afterwards, if you're feeling, oh, man, my leg's not working right, or I can't bend like I'm supposed to be able to, with roller coasters and things like that. People
even when I travel. Okay, so I get in my vehicle here. I drive to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I might stop once.
Right.
And my favorite joke is I'm as stiff as a 2x4.
You get that way. And then those long drives, they really tighten everything up. And it's tough on the lower back to sit for long, extended periods of time.
Even one of the news channels did something on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing on the lower back. There's been car manufacturers who've been experimenting with seats while you're driving. This has been years ago. They've started it years ago, but I don't know if they've ever actually put these in cars or not. But there's actual companies out there who are developing seats that change every 10 minutes or so. Just slightly, like it'll move your seat at a different position in 10 minutes. 10 minutes from now, it'll move into another position.
More coherent.
Yeah, it moves that body a little bit while you're driving, so that it doesn't stay in one position all the time. So that's actually a pretty good idea.
I've caught myself changing the seat position. Mine's even got lumbar support where you can adjust.
Exactly.
Huh.
And so, getting out and walking around is one of the best things you can do if you have to take a long trip anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, getting out, walking around, doing a little bit of walking so that you just don't stay in that seated position for that long, because it's just hard on the discs of the lower back.
Final 30 seconds for the news break.
If you're suffering with anything that is spinal related, or you're not even sure if it's spinal related, hey, can you help me or not? That's what the email is for. Send me an email, and we'll see if it's something that's in our purview or not. But don't just suffer. Don't just sit there and, I've got to live with this headache, or I've got to live with this, sciatica. This is it's something that runs in my family. Well, it doesn't. It can run in the family, but it doesn't have to stay in the family.
There you go.
You can get it fixed. So
you can get the pain stopped by calling Doc Osgood at 870-425-4424, located at 640 Highway 62 East, just down the street from us, right down there.
Right down the street. So don't live with it. Come in. Let's fix it up.
Be right back. Time for the news.